I guess we better let these teachers teach because they keep sending them from downtown. And that's how they got black teachers at McCosh School. But by that time, I was ready to graduate, so I never had a black teacher. And we went to Inglewood, there were no black teachers, so I never had a black teacher in Inglewood. So this is just a lot of the things that happened to us when we were growing up in West Woodlawn. And we had 3 different churches there. We had a Methodist church, a Baptist church, a Congregational church, and I've forgotten the other church. But the majority of the children went to the Congregational church. Was where because they had so many different activities for the children to be able to take. And we had a lot of historical things that went on at the church. We'd have a lot of orators that would come and speak in the evenings, and which was very interesting. Like Mary McLeod, Bethune, and people like that, they would come and speak at our church. So I think that's the end of my speech.
How long did you live in Woodlawn?
I lived in Woodlawn I was born in 1921 and I left there in 1961. The house is still standing. I've been at my church for 83 years, Lincoln Church. I've been in my church for 83 years. I'm 93.
In your opinion, what do you think happens to the business community that exists along 63rd Street?
Say that again.
In your opinion, what do you think happens to the business community that used to exist along 63rd Street?
Well, what happened was that so many black people started moving into the area that the white merchants began to get sort of shaky about it, and they didn't want to have them participate or coming in and out of the stores. So the best way they could do was just to close it down. But it was beautiful that, like on Saturdays a lot of time, excuse me, that was our outing, just to go down 63rd all the way to Stony. They had beautiful stores. You could buy anything you wanted. I mean, we didn't have Kmart and all those different stores, but there were different stores and there were 3 theaters on 63rd Street that we would go to, the Maryland, the Drexel, and I can't think of the other theater. But they had a lot of shops on 63rd.
What are some of your happiest memories growing up in West Woodlawn? What are some of your happiest memories growing up in West Woodlawn?
Being able to ride bicycles. We used to ride our bicycles to Oakwood Cemetery, and there was a little alley behind the cemetery, and we would ride in the back of the cemetery, and that was a big thing for us, to ride behind the cemetery. And then growing up in the church and being in different programs at the church. And we also had Bible school for 1 month every year after school closed. We'd have Bible school for one month rather, every year.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face growing up in the Woodlawn community?
The challenges were that we could not go out of Woodlawn because we had to do everything in Woodlawn. People wouldn't let us into different places. Some of the movie houses wouldn't let us in. So that was a challenge.
You got anything else you want to say?
I don't know, let's see. I don't know.
During the times that you had, like, how you was being treated at your job, was there ever any time that somebody spoke up, like talked about they should treat you better?
Yes. When I first got the job at the Board of Education, it was in the secretary's office, but the secretary was out ill. So the lady that interviewed me, the one that told me that never had coloreds working in there, she was very nasty. But when the secretary came back to work after his illness, he was very nice, and he came up to me and he welcomed me into that department and said, "We're glad that you came," and I thought that was very nice. But before that, they didn't even want to speak to me. They just, I mean, I worked, but they didn't want to speak. They just told me what to do, and that was it.
How do you feel about the violence in the community today?
About what?
The violence in the community today.
I think it's very bad. Well, when we were growing up, there were no gangs. And if the young men did fight, they fought with sticks and bats, but there were no guns. The only time I remember a gun was at school, at Inglewood High School, and this young man had taken a history book, and he carved out all around the edges so he could make a place to put the gun. And he brought his book to school with the gun, and then nobody knew he had the gun. But in walking through the hallways, he dropped the book, and the gun fell out. And that's how they knew he had a gun. But other than that, there were no guns. People didn't have guns like they have today. But I think the violence it's people are afraid to go out their houses. We used to sit on our porches every evening. In the daytime, if we didn't go to the Bible school at the church, we would play in the alleys, where there are not as many alleys today as it was back then, but we did everything in the alley. And we didn't have refrigerators, we had ice boxes. So the ice truck came down the alley. And when they chip off, if you wanted 25 pounds, a man would know exactly how much to chip off to bring you 25 pounds of ice. You had to put a card up in the window to let him know you wanted ice. So when they chip off, well, we'd all jump on the truck and get the little flakes that he'd chip off so we could eat them. That was a lot of fun. So it was just different things that we had to do that today the young people can't do. So, and we didn't fight. It was very little fighting when we grew up. But now everything is a fight. I just heard on the television this morning, a little boy got shot. The bullet went through the house, and he was in the bed. And they shot him and killed him. And it's pitiful. But what can we do about it? I mean, I don't know the answer to it.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
You're quite welcome.